While it's clear the player is a human, their physical appearance isn't seen in-game, and any surfaces that would reflect their appearance instead show a shadow. The player is a determined individual who revisits the factory where the company's staff mysteriously disappeared a decade ago and continuing to see their journey through. In Poppy Playtime 4, the player falls into a pit because of his human weight, and Kissy rips his arm off. In 2005, she crossed paths with the player, eventually forming an alliance with them and Poppy Playtime to kill the prototype and end his despotic reign. Kissy Missy makes her appearance right before entering the safe haven, hiding the player from the prototype. For the rest of the game, she can be found resting from the injuries inflicted to her at the end of Chapter 3, Deep Sleep. Yo, only 5% of y'all can smash like and sub before the timer's up. If you're quick with it, type "done" in the comments. Ollie was a disguise by the prototype and a major character in Chapter 3. Ollie's physical appearance is a mystery, as he never appears physically in-game and only interacts with the player through the telephone. In Chapter 4, it is revealed that Ollie is actually the prototype himself, and that this has all been a facade in order to lure Poppy back to him. Poppy is a small female pull-string doll with chalk-white skin. She wears a flouncy blue gown with frilly sleeves and a pair of black Mary Janes. In Chapter 4, it is revealed that Poppy is the daughter of Elliot Ludwig, the former leader of Playtime Co. Poppy learned from the prototype that Ollie existed, but a long time ago. Doey is a plump dough creature made up of a multicolored clay-like substance. Alongside Poppy, acts as the leader of the Safe Haven group. Doey was about to have a side quest about retrieving a book that the kids read in the orphanage. It was named The Adventures of the Word Wizard. This ended up becoming unused in the final version of the game. Where the book would be located is currently unknown. Harley Sawyer was a cruel, merciless, narcissistic, sociopathic, and apathetic scientist who cared little about anyone or anything other than himself and his goals. Chapter 4, that many of Sawyer's organs, including his brain, lungs, and liver, were in fact preserved and kept inside jars near his lair, potentially as power sources. His name is a play on the name Barnaby and yarn, referring to the yarn that covers his body. Barnaby means son of consolation, Yarnaby being a lion. In Chapter 4, Safe Haven, Yarnaby is introduced by Harley Sawyer as one of his loyal experiments following the player's escape from the prison cell blocks. Pianosaurus is a toy produced by Playtime Company and a minor antagonist in Chapter 4. He is a dinosaur with a piano-like mouth featuring rainbow-colored spikes along his back and a green body. In terms of appearance, he seems to be based mostly on a Therizinosaurus. The mini Huggies are toys that appear to be an army of extremely hostile, shrunken versions of Huggy Wuggy. The mini Huggies appear a few times in 4 Chapter, where they attack the player alongside the nightmare critters on Harley Sawyer's orders. Although the mini Huggies don't have a canon personality, it is presumed that they are being controlled by Mommy Longlegs in an attempt to kill the player. Huggy Wuggy is a tall, slender creature covered in thick, bright blue fur. Originally marketed as a toy intended solely for providing platonic love through hugging, Huggy Wuggy was designed to hug children in need with warm traits. In the ending of Chapter 4, battered and wounded as he furiously rushes and tries to attack the player through a glass wall for trying to kill him, indicating his pursuit for revenge on the player for his death in Chapter 1. The ruined critters resemble grimy toys of the Smiling Critters line, with large gashes on their bodies exposing the white stuffing underneath. Though initially presented as mindless feral creatures, the ruined critters are, in reality, driven by an intense desire for self-preservation. There is a funny gag with the ruined critters, where if the player shoots them and if they're not facing a hole, they will crab walk backwards and clip through their head. Baba Chops is an anthropomorphic sheep, characterized by black wool that complements her cottontail and the expressive black eyes associated with her toy line. In Chapter 4, Baba Chops is an efficient and ruthless hunter, having killed and collected hundreds of small toys. Baba Chops may be based on Baba Yaga, an old woman from Slavic folklore who eats children. Of all the nightmare critters, Icky Licky is the one that you can always count on to ruin the fun. But hey, at least he smells like coffee. In terms of appearance, Icky Licky seems to be based on a yellow-banded poison dart frog. Icky's the type of kid to fall behind in a relay race and immediately immediately pin it on a sore knee, even when that's not the case. Rabie Baby is an anthropomorphic bat, characterized by white fur that complements her expressive black eyes. Rabie Baby couldn't keep a secret if her life depended on it. If there's one thing in the world she loves, it's gossiping, and she's very practiced at it. Her name references rabies, a viral disease caused by lyssavirus that attacks the brain and spinal cord. Here's Allister Gator, the laziest of the nightmare critters, characterized by lime green scales that complement his long reptilian tail. He's chill, sure, but if he could, he'd spend all day in the water doing pretty much nothing. He isn't a fan of the whole put in effort and see that effort rewarded bit. He's much more a believer of the philosophy. Good things have to come to me. Eventually, I just need to wait around for it. He's still waiting. Have you heard about the coolest guy in town? Simon Smoke is the most popular of all the nightmare critters by far. Simon Smoke is an anthropomorphic dragon, characterized by light reddish-orange scales that complement his long reptilian tail, thin eyebrows, and expressive black eyes. In truth, he is a colossal jerk, but he does have a knack for getting away with being one. Poe, our moody rebel. They're probably the broodiest of the nightmare critters, but no one seems to mind. They like to do their own thing. Poe is an anthropomorphic raven, characterized by a violet indigo plumage that complements their thin eyebrows and expressive black eyes. Poe hates the sun and thinks it is a cruel trick of nature that the world needs it in the first place. Most comfortable in the dark, they spend their nights hanging around graveyards, listening to music, and feeling vaguely angry at nothing in particular. You do not want a cuisine prepared by Touille. His, impeccable tastes are rivaled by none of the other nightmare critters. Touille is an anthropomorphic rat, characterized by musty gray fur. If you ever need someone to provide insightful commentary or some random piece of junk, Touille is your guy. Maggie Mako has the sweetest tooth of any of the nightmare critters. In fact, she will go absolutely bonkers for anything with sugar. Maggie Mako is an anthropomorphic shark, characterized by turquoise skin. Maggie is always thinking about her belly. She's happiest with food in her mouth. And believe us, she's not picky. She loves sweets but veggies. Yuck. The Doctor's bodies, or the Doctor's minions, are reserve bodies that the Doctor, Harley Sawyer, can use without having to expose or risk his real body. They have a TV for a head and long robotic arms and digitigrade legs. They do not have a personality, as they do not do anything other than occasionally jump out at and try to kill the player, or be puppeteered by Harley Sawyer. The prototype was the orchestrator of the Hour of Joy, an incident that occurred at the Playtime Comer toy factory on August 8, 1995, that resulted in the mass murder of countless employees, orphans, and tourists. He does physically appear in Chapter 4. However, only the silhouette of his legs are briefly shown, and his presence is felt heavily through Harley Sawyer.